Now more than ever, your website needs a contact form where people can contact you, and your desk needs a cat like I have. If it's not one of them, it's one of the others. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you are well, and that wherever you are in this world that you are keeping safe at this moment. Now, contact forms play an essential role on websites nowadays. I think there was a time you didn't really even think of contacting someone on a website, but nowadays it is crucial. It's more or less the purpose of websites, and that is to be able to reach customers, to get to an audience and have people reach out to you. And I've had websites where I've gone onto and I wanted to contact those people for the strangest reasons. I maybe saw something that they have there in a video, and then in the video I saw their curtains, and then I would want to know where on earth did they get those curtains from. So having a contact form on your site is essential. Having a good one that works is even more important. And I'm going to show you why I'm such a big fan of HappyForms. 1, it is so easy to use. And 2, it really does the job well. And 3, let's not forget, it is free. I am JP. Let's jump into our WordPress session for this morning. And here I have my contact page. I'm going to do 2 things in terms of contact areas for my site. The first one is that I want to add a contact form to my contact page. The second one is that I want to add in my footer. Now that will be within my theme, and this will probably be a widget. I want to add there a subscription little area, just an email address with subscribe, so that people who want to sign up for my newsletter can do that so in that area. So we've got that, we want a contact form, and then we want our sign up for our newsletter that will be within our footer. So these are different areas we're going to place these guys. Go into WordPress administration area, and the first thing we have to do is that we have to go and install HappyForms from the WordPress repository. In the navigation sidebar on the left, we go to plugins and we click on add new. In the search area, look for HappyForms, and I just type it as one word. Pretty sure we're going to find it as we type it like that. Here you go. Reach out, I'll be there. And click on install now. Activate. And once it has activated, you will see here in the sidebar, HappyForms opens, and there are a few things that you can look at. Here is just an area if you want to get involved with HappyForms. You can enter your email address over here, allow and set up HappyForms. I'm just going to say continue. I'm not going to fill in that and skip directly into the area where you can create your forms. The installation comes with a sample form by default, but I'm going to start it for you from scratch so that you can see how it works. So let's go to the top where it says forms. Next to that, click on add new. HappyForms has had a facelift. In fact, a huge makeover. I would say, was it now 2 months ago? I've lost track, but yes, beginning of this year, end of last year, massive facelift, and it had centralized almost everything in one panel here on the left. So you can jump around what you have to do with this form very, very easily. You start here at the top with building it, then you have setup, email integration, and then styling it. But starting with the build area is where you're probably going to start 99.9% of the time. And the first thing you have to do is just give this form a name, an ID, so that you know when you have multiple forms on your site, which is which. I'm going to call this my contact form area, which is my contact page area. Let's call it contact page. Let's leave it and save it. Up here, that save, and the X, like usual, is exit. And I always recommend that if you're in the habit of saving, keep doing so. Now, to build out this form, you have to bring in those fields. Whenever you fill in something on a site, we refer to that box where you can click and enter your data as a field, similar to Microsoft Access. To do that in HappyForms, we bring in a part. So field is a part. And what do we want to bring in this form? I'm envisioning I want their email address, that's right. I want their first name, I want their last name, and I want them to send me a message and maybe some other random mumbo jumbo as well. We bring in a part, and then this pane opens here with a lot of stuff that you can choose from or not, because as you can see, there is a pro version for HappyForms, and to use these parts, you will have to upgrade. I'm not going to cover the pro in this video. That we will do in another video. And once you go pro, there are so many things you can do. You can collect money. Yes, there is PayPal integration and other service payments as well. And you can do surveys, you can do HR applications, and those are things that I'm very interested in. And then, of course, you have over here as well, MailChimp integration. I hope there can be a little bit more integration in the future, but currently we are not going to care about the upgrade ones. We're looking at these ones that are darker. They are the ones that come in HappyForms free. How this process works is that you think of the field you want to bring in. I want to have an email. An email, there's a specific part for that over here, email. And you use these parts because they will recognize the data that the person enters. Click on email, and two things are going to happen. One is that you're going to have an email field appear over here in the contact area where you can visually see how this form looks. The second thing is you're going to have all the settings for that field here on the left. You see it's email. This is the field, the part that we've added. And up here you can collapse it and you can extend it. Let's have a look here, and what you're going to observe here is going to be consistent most of the time for all the other parts that we will be using. The label is the name that you can see on screen. So currently it's set to untitled, and we're going to call it email. You can call it anything. What is important is that you had selected the email part. So when somebody comes to your site, they complete this form, then WordPress and HappyForms will be able to identify the data inside this field as an email field. The label display, so currently it's set there at the top of the field. If I choose here below, it drops there, left, inside, and you can also hide it. Let's leave it above. We're going to keep this form very simple. And then you can add a little description here. Well, I think people use websites so often, we grow up with it nowadays, right? So adding a description here is kind of weird, like this is where you add your personal email. Unless there is something like, hey, this area here is your business email. You could have maybe more than one email, okay? I'm thinking out loud here. So this is where you add your personal email, and then this description will appear there. Description appearance, standard, reveal on focus. So now when somebody clicks in there, it will appear, or a tooltip. And the tooltip over here, that little question mark, as you hover over it, I like this one, it will appear. But I'm not going to use a description for this one because I just think that's unnecessary. You also have placeholder, and this is similar to the label, but not 100%, because if I type in here email, you will see it appears inside. Now I can remove this one at the top, so I can say hidden. And when people fill this in and they click in there, they can type over it and it will remove that. But let's leave the placeholders for now. We don't do any descriptions and we stick to our labels. We're going to put it above. By default, it is set to this is required. This means that if somebody comes to your website and they don't fill it in and they try to send you a message, it's going to return an error or tell them, I cannot send this message. So if this is important and you want this, then you have to make sure this is checked. Now, strictly speaking, you need to check, I would say, always the email. And the reason for that is that you don't want people sending you anonymous emails and going crazy on you. You need to at least have them commit to a few things. So make sure that you click this is required at a minimum for your email. There's a few more options here. You have a more option, and we will look at some of those. And then you have logic. Now the logic is not going to work in the free version. It's only going to work in the pro version. I love logic rules. We've got the email there. So next, let's bring in your first name. Now, a name is what? It's a word. It's not a sentence. So every time you work with a short word or phrase, we look for text, and we look for a short text part. So over here, up here is short text. Click on that. It updates here in the right. And now you understand what you've got to do. You can say here first name. And we're going to leave that, and everything remains the same. Collapse that. Now we want to bring in your last name, add a part. And that's again short text. It's just a word or a phrase that you want them to enter. So we type in last name, collapse. And then we want them to add a message. So message is going to be a sentence to a paragraph. And every time the content that they're going to enter into the field is a sentence to a paragraph, we are working with long text. Add a part, and over here, long text. And these three parts that I've brought in here, short text, long text, and email, they are the most common blocks that you bring into any form builder, as far as I know. Let's change this here. Type your message here. And yeah, all of this remains like so, and you can update it. This site that we are working on is like a consulting site. It's a person who does energy management. And what I have in mind is that she wants people to contact her, and at the bottom, she wants to know a little bit more about them. Like find out what do they do? Why are they interested in contacting her? And I think that is actually a very nice little trick, because it brings in a form of personalization. And when people then send you a message, they already tell you a little bit about themselves. It's a very, very small little gesture, but I think it adds a lot of personality to the form. What she wants to know maybe is, what do you do? Are you a client? Are you a provider? Or do you want to work with me, a collaborator? And that already will show her what is the intent of this person contacting her. So we want 3 possible choices there, and then they can select which one. And if you go to add a part and you look at the other ones that are highlighted, you get here to multiple choice or single choice. We just want them to choose one. And if you give people an option and you tell them you can only choose one, then it's a single choice. If you tell them you can choose more than one, that's multiple choice. So we go to single choice. Again, it's a part, so when I click on it, it's going to add here on the left, and it's going to add here on the right. So let's go to the label, and you can type a sentence here. So, what is your interest to contact me? That's a strange sentence. Why are you contacting me? But I want to sound la-di-da. What is your interest in contacting me? To contact that. I think in contacting me is better grammar. I should go work for Grammarly. What is the name of that site? Let me just go to my keyboard. In contacting me. And why is it over there? Oh, it's okay, right. Let's hold on. No choices. So at this moment, you have no choices. Life is very limited. So she wants to add those 3 choices. So you click here on add a choice, and then you type in the name of that choice. And this choice is going to be, you want to be a client. And then you can add another one. You want to be a service provider. And a third one, you want to be a collaborator. Collaborator, is that correct? Collaborator. I see the other day, the new word is, let's collab, man. We have to collab on this. Ooh, that word. And you can grab the handle here if you need to change these, where you see these little tire tracks. You just drag them in the order that you want them to appear here. Let's go down to the more options here, because here you have a little bit more control over how this will display in the form. Currently, your choices are vertical, so it's one stacked on the other. I'm going to put that on horizontal, and that gives us a little bit more space here. Great bananas. Let's update our form, and this is how you build the form. So that's why this label up here is called build. You've brought in your parts, you've built it out. And we will have a look after we have placed this form on our site, what you can do in terms of all these other ones that are still there. I'll show you how they work. But let's hop on over to setup. Here are a few things that you can choose. You have a success message. Now, the success message is when people click send and this message is successfully sent, no problems, then this will display saying, hey, Joey, good job. If you click here on drop down, you can also select redirect to web address. But like most great features, once you click on that, it's in the pro version. So you can use success message. And here is your success message. Thank you. Your submission has been sent. That's so personal, especially she wants to have a very impersonal. So thank you. I look forward to working with you. There, that's more personal. Here is an error message. So if they did something wrong, go try again. Okay, if you want to be personal, don't write that. Submit button label. So the text here, sent. Let's say something like submit. This time I'm going to say submit. And then if you're into CSS, go crazy over there. This function over here, very nice one, hide form after submit. This is not one that you will use all the time, but in some cases you may. If you select this one and people click on submit, when they go back to that page, the form will not show. You basically allow them only to send that form once to you. Go to email. And here you're going to start adding in all the details regarding where this form has to go to after it has been sent. The email address here is the address where you will receive this notification. This is very important. You have to add it here. So if I say like jp.palliser@awesomeuniverse.com, once somebody fills this in, it's going to send it to that email address. You can add a BCC as well if somebody else needs to receive it. If you have more than one form, here, your email subject. Now I'm sitting at home, I'm sitting and watching Netflix, and then I get this notification on my phone. Hey, there's an email message for you, sir. And then this will be the subject of that. Now, if you just leave this, you received a new message, and you have maybe 4 or 5 websites and you have 10 different kinds of contact forms, you're never going to know where they come from. So it's a good idea here in the email subject to add it's like a clue which site this comes from. So I'm going to say this is my HappyForms free demo site. Contact form area. Then I know where this is coming from. Down here is send confirmation email. This is you. This is you who's filling in my form. If you had sent a form, you will get a confirmation email after you had sent it like, hey, Joe, thank you for sending me the form. And this is the email address that will appear here. If you want people to be able to reach you at that email address, you use the same one again up here. And your reply the same. If you don't want them to be able to talk to you, you leave them empty. And you go through the same process here. Include submitted values allows you to display everything they fill in their email so that they know, oh, this is what I told you. Then we have the email and then style. Before we go to style, I want you to go back to build and notice here at the bottom, like you would get also in theme customizers, that you have the option to look at this on desktop. And over here is tablet. And over here is mobile displays. Just to make sure that it will look okay on those devices as well. Let's go back to desktop and then continue to the last part, which is style. Before we start here, because I usually mess up styling, I'm just going to update it so that if I make any mistakes here, I can just exit and come back. General. Here is the width. Now this is currently set in percentage. You can grab the slider here and drag it like this, and it will decrease the width of your form, adding padding on the left and the right. But I want to give you a word of caution here. Do not use this in most cases because you can control that padding on the page you are building. If you are going to put this inside a column like I'm going to do, and the column is already 50% of my page, and I reduce it here to in the middle to 50%, it's actually going to display 50% of that column. So in the end, I'm just getting 25%, and it's going to look very strange on my page. So if you know how to control this on a site, do not mess around with the width. If you're going to put it on a full width from left to right across your entire screen and you want some padding on the left and the right, then play around with this. But as I do that, let's see what happens if I go to cell phone. Same thing. I would just recommend do not mess with the width. Learn how to work with padding in the builder. Put it inside a column or a section and adjust your padding there. Padding, let's put it on narrow. A little bit of space, more or less the same as the width. I'm going to put it on default again because I'm not going to set my padding here within this contact form. Direction of your text, left to right, and then you have the option of right to left. And then the message location. Which message? That is the success or error message. So after people send it, it will say, congratulations. So what did we say? Thank you. I look forward to working with you. Where will that message appear? By default, it's set to above form. It's a little strange to me. I prefer below form. Maybe it rocks your boat to put it on above form. But I think I just clicked here on submit. My eyes will still be drawn to this area, so to have that message appear here makes more sense to me. And you can change the colors here, your success message and validation message and your error message. These are actually standard colors. You know, green is for go and red is for no. So let's leave that. Click back here on the arrow and then we go to the title. Title is up there. I do not want this title to display, so I'm going to say hide. If you didn't hide it and you leave it on show, you can put it center, to the right, to the left, and you can also change the size of that. And seems, you see, that's what I talk about. Something here, something go wrong. I guess probably need to update that. Update, and if you want to see the text size again, you're going to say refresh, but I'm going to hide it. Update it again. And let's go back. And here we're going to make a few other changes. We have more spacing options here, part borders and spacing. Here you have a border. That's the border of the part or the field. You can hide that. You can have the line only at the bottom. I'll put it on all sides. Your radius, the corners. Currently you see those corners are slightly shaved. So it's set at round. If you want it like this, like pill function or square, let's leave it on round. Then outer spacing, the space here, you can have it narrow. I like it kind of at narrow, or wide gives you much more spacing. Default not bad, but I'm going to drop it on narrow. Then you have inner spacing here, same thing, narrow. Do I like that? Let me put this back on default. I think I prefer it like that. And then you have a few colors here. So you have the border, and you see currently the border is this color. And then you have border on focus. On focus is when somebody clicks within a field. The moment they click in it, the color of the border will change. I'm going to leave these to their default values. Go back, and then we are part labels, the label and text. Same thing here. You can put it in the center. You can put it on the right. That would be strange to me. I don't think I've ever seen a form do that unless you are maybe doing something like a survey and you want the titles to appear like headings. Then you can put it in the center. Otherwise, don't touch it, Johnny. Title font weight, and you have their font size again, bold, description, alignment, description size. And we didn't use placeholders and descriptions, so we're not doing anything here. And again, you have control over the colors. I'm going to leave the default colors and then drop downs. We don't have drop downs, check boxes and radios. Okay, so you have color here, and this is for our little radio controls over here. That little circle that you can click inside is a radio control. And then submit button is the last one. We have hide it? Oh, border, it's border. I was just confused. Why would I want to hide it? Border radius, again, you have nice round one. And I'm going to choose pill here. The reason is because all the other contact buttons on my site is also rounded. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave the colors, though that is not the color I want to use because I'm going to finish this form. We're going to place it, and then I'm going to show you how you can come back and make changes. So let's say update and exit the form over here. And that takes us back to the form area over here. There is our contact form area. In most cases, when you work with free plugins that work with form creators, you get a short code. A short code is a short name for a link. So if you don't know what a short code is, just remember that sometimes you need to put a code on a page to display something, and we use short codes for that. In this event, we're going to do that, and then I'm going to show you how it's much easier to be done within HappyForms when you are doing it inside WordPress Gutenberg Editor. If you are using a page builder, you will definitely have to use the shortcode. So you will copy it here, and then you will create a block or a section on your page, and you will use the shortcode element. I'm going to click here on copy to clipboard, so I don't have to select and copy it. I can just click here, copy to clipboard, and let's go to our page. I will go up here to the top left-hand corner, and then I will click and drag to a new tab to open it to the front. And then we go to our contact form here. I want to add it here. So you see, if you can faintly see, there's a little white block over there. Click on edit page so we can enter the editor. And since the update of WordPress 5.4, this looks a little bit weird. So I think this is still something that needs to be, probably a bug that needs to be ironed out. Nonetheless, over here is the form that I'm working with. If I click here on preview, just have a look quickly there so you can see things are still looking well on the front end. Here is the contact, and here is the area where I want to place it. Like I said, I just updated to WordPress 5.4, so something hicky here. This has got nothing to do with HappyForms. We want to add it into this column. So you click here on add a block, and you look for that one called shortcode. You just type in shortcode, look for it, and you find it. And then there, in this area, you're going to paste the shortcode. The one that we had copied, I just go Control V, or if you're on a Mac, Command V, and paste it. Update it. And then we go preview it again on the front end. And there's my form. Look how spectacular that is. It's everything that you've wanted and more, right? And a little bit more. Though I've added this in with shortcode, if you are using the WordPress editor like we are doing here, you actually have the option to bring in a specific block just for HappyForms. Let's go back to the WordPress editor. Let's add another block here, add a block, and this time just type in HappyForms. And you see there's a little widget for HappyForms. Bring that in. Now, instead of copying the shortcode, all you need to do here is from the drop-down menu, select your form, contact form area, and then update. Go to the front and see how that looks. And there should be no difference. So you can see here is the one with the HappyForms, here is the one with the shortcode. There is absolutely no difference. Let's not confuse ourselves. Let's go remove one of these. I'll click here on the shortcode, go up here and remove the block, and let's update it. Front end, and now we should only have one form. Let's make a few changes here. The first change I want to make is that I want to change the color of the submit button to show you how we can do that. And then I want to add some extra parts. And how I'm going to do this, and this is my preferred way of working with these forms, is I'm going to leave this front page open so that I can refresh every time I make a save while working on the form and come back and see how it looks on the front end. If I go back here, where am I? I can just close this one, and then over here in the sidebar, HappyForms, all forms, go to contact form area, click on that, and you can begin editing again. So I want to go to the style area and look for the submit button, and I want to change the color here, the background of that. And I'm going to change it to a color here. Let me just find, I want to use that green. Sure, that's a small green. Let me grab my color picker here, and I'm going, got lucky that time, and close that. I go back to where my form is, and then for the background, I type that value, or I paste it over there. You see the color changes, and I say update. And as I update it, I can go to the front now, and I can refresh this page, and you will see there it is. Great. So that's how you can do those updates in quote-unquote real time. Go to the form editor again, and let's go to build and see what other parts do we have here. Add a part, and the next one is multi-choice. Now, multi-choice, like I said, is similar to single choice. Choose a suitable time for a meeting, and then you can add many choices people can choose from. And I'm going to quickly just type here, let's say Monday, Tuesday, and then we skip Wednesday, that's my day off. Thursday, like my hairdresser who doesn't want to cut my hair on a Wednesday, and for some reason I'm only available on Wednesdays. And then go again here to more, and we say we also want that horizontally next to each other. Okay, where is this? Let's close this one, update it, and now you can see how it will display on the front end. Update the front. And then if somebody comes, they can click more than one if they're available for all those days. Let's do the next, add a part. And the next one we have here is drop down. Right? Are you new? Or are you a new client? New, I guess you can only ask a baby that. And then you're going to have two options here. Yes. And the next option will be no. I'm yes and I'm a no. And I think under more, we don't have anything here. So we can update that as well. Go to the front, update that. Are you a new client? And then you have the option, no, I've been with you before. And let's add one more part here, number. Now the number is something like a telephone number or your age. Yeah, let's ask your age or your income. And what will happen then if you have a number field, if somebody tries to type in a word, it will reject it. It has to be a number. Let's rather say, how long do you want the session to last? And then include there, type in minutes. And then, yeah, minimum number is 0, maximum is 60. No more than an hour because they probably cannot afford you. Your rates are known in the industry as being close to profiteering. How long do you want the session to last? 55 minutes. And that's it. These are all the parts that you can use from the free builder within HappyForms. Let me just check I didn't skip any of that. One more feature is that you can actually constrain the width of some of these fields. So if I go to email and you can just click here on the little pencil, click to edit this part, it will open it for you here. So you don't have to scroll up and down if you have a lot of fields. Just go here where it's very visual, click on these, and you will be able to edit them very easily. So I'm going to go to first name, and then when you go to more, you will see over here you have, where is more now? Yeah, here, width, full, and you can put it to half. So now it only displays half of your monitor size. If I go to last name, click here, same thing, go to more, and I put it on half. Now you see these two are next to each other. You save some space. You can do the same with these two. So click on this one. What is your interest in contacting me? Let's see if we can put that on half, more full, and we put it on half. And then the same for this one. Choose a suitable meeting. And width is also on half. So we free up some space here. The font though, where does this font come from? And this font comes from the theme. So remember, if you want to change the font, it is your theme's body text that you will have to go and change if you want to change the font. Let's go to the front and quickly update this to see how this one looks. There we have it. Your email, first name, type your message here. Okay, this is a little bit squashed. I think maybe we should leave these two full width. We can do that. Are you a new client and how long do you want this session to last? And now comes a very important part of the process is you have to test it. You have to probably take this, send this link to some of your friends, bother them a little bit and ask them to test it for you. So let's do that. I'm going to add a random email address in here. And then we can say, Joe, Laurie, hey, do you have a truck? And then I want to be a collaborator. I'm available on Thursdays. Yes, I'm a new client. And how long do you want the session to last? No, 15 minutes. That doesn't make any sense, just some random values, and click on submit. Let's see that success message where it is. There you go. Thank you. I look forward to working with you. Remember, we typed that in. And this is pretty nice, right? Because it even matches the color theme of my site. Let's go to my email and see whether I have received this email actually and how that looks. So within my Gmail, you can see here, HappyForms free demo site contact form area. This is the subject, the one that we had changed. So when I get it, I exactly know this is from this contact form. And here, all the data and fields. If you go Pro, one of the benefits of Pro is that this data is collected in WordPress and you can export it into Excel. So if you want to build up a distribution list or a nice list, that's a very nice feature to have, but that is only available in HappyForms Pro. We'll tackle that in other tutorials. Let's close out here. And now let's go build that other little area that we want to build out, which is the widget area. And what I want to have here is a different form for people to subscribe to my email. So this is different than the contact form. I want their addresses for people who are interested in subscribing to my newsletter. Maybe they don't want to send me a message, but they are interested in what I'm doing. Let's go to our back, close out here, and we go and create another form. Click on Add New, and we call this one Newsletter. And I'll say Newsletter Widget Footer. I usually use these names so I know what they're for and where they are. I'm going to add an email, and that's it. Going to say here email, and I will put it inside like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'll go to more, and over here at full width, I'm going to put it at quarter. No, not quarter, third, no, auto. I'm going to put it on auto. Finally got it right. And you see now it appears like so. It's a little bit misaligned. I'm going to do a few things there to make it look better. Go to setup, and it's going to be the same setup that we went through last time for your email as well. So we only hop down here to style. Over here then, we're going to remove our title like we did before, hide that. And then we go to our parts, border, and spacing. And here, to get these things to align nicely, you're basically going to put everything on narrow. You see, I put this one outer spacing and inner spacing on narrow. And as I do that, these things start looking better. Click back, we go to submit button again, and border, 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 border. Those are all fine. And we can just change the background again to that green. Save. And then we exit here. And now we have to add this as a widget, and we have to add it in our footer. So it has to be a widget and a footer. Let's see first when we go to our widgets, go here to appearance in the sidebar, and then select the widgets. And most likely that would be in footer bar section 1 or footer bar section 2. Currently, I don't think there is anything there, but we'll see. Widget area, here we want to go, widget area. Doesn't matter. Let's just see if we've got a HappyForms widget here. And as I say that, I hover over it here. So once you install HappyForms, the widget will also appear over here. So let's just add it somewhere, footer bar section 1. Click and drag it in there, and let's see what happens. You have a title. So here you're going to say, subscribe to our newsletter. And then form, you're going to select from the drop down the one, newsletter widget footer, and you click here on save. Now you've positioned it, but when I go and update this form or this page, you're not going to see any changes because you still have to go set up this area within your theme customizer. We go back and we look for themes, and then under that customize, go into the customizer. Every theme is different. I'm using Astra, so just be aware of that. Every theme works a little bit different on that. I'm going to select the footer. And where did we put it? In footer bar or footer widgets? Now I'm not sure. Let's go to footer bar. We can set it up again. So we have, scroll down, we have here section 1, which is text. Okay, that's that area. And then we can have section 2, and we can select the widget, right? So we can just add here widget, add a widget. Okay, let's publish this, save it. Where am I going to add this widget? Let's click back again and look for widgets over here. Footer bar section 2, add a widget. And we look for our friend HappyForms. You can just type up there. Luckily, in this case, it's also alphabetical. So I can just scroll down here to HappyForms. You do the same. Subscribe to our newsletter. Our newsletter footer is already selected. Look here. There it goes. Unfortunately, the title and the form so close to each other, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but there you go. And now you've added this within your footer. What does that mean? Let's publish, jump to the front end and update our page. What that means is that this area to subscribe will now appear in each and every page where there is a footer. And this way, people can easily select that area and enter your newsletter. Now, actually, on this side, I have other areas for contact forms as well. Like over here, subscribe to my newsletter is another area, or even on my about page. And this site is actually terrifying me at this moment because there are things missing here. I can tell you that. Let me go to the main page and see if my oh, there are my buttons. I was getting all nervous. My buttons have disappeared, and that's WordPress 5.4, which is responsible for that, but it appears I was worried for no reason. I just didn't select my home page. There you go. So what have we done? We have installed HappyForms from the WordPress repository, and we used the HappyForms free plugin. You will find HappyForms here in the navigation sidebar, and when you click on all forms, the forms you have created will appear over here. You can create as many HappyForms that will make you happy in here. And you have control over parts that you can enter to build out your form. There are a number of parts that are free, and these free parts allow you to build out a form that is perfect for any site. Going beyond that and bringing your forms into a total new realm, you need to upgrade. And that is something we tackle in other videos. You can set the setup, your email and styling over here. And then if you are working within the WordPress editor, you simply bring in the HappyForms block. And with that block, you just easily select the form that you had built and that you want to display on that page. If you are working within a page builder, you go to the HappyForms area where your forms are, all forms. You copy the shortcode and you use your builder's function to bring in shortcode, and voila, it will display. And that is the end of this session. I'm going to have the last of my coffee. Then I'm gonna give the second cat that just showed up, which is called my ginger cat, going to give her some attention. Actually, her name is Cheeto, but she also responds to ginger. And then I'm going to take my dogs for a little walk around the house during this lockdown because I'm not allowed to go outside. Be safe, hope you are well, and see you in the next video. This is JP signing off.